The story of Just Dance 2023 edition ended with the Night Swan escaping the grasp of the Just Dancers. Into the Dance Versus had a climactic battle, but you can't just not have consequences befall on the antagonist, because when you do that, you give them the opportunity for a counterattack. Greetings viewer, welcome to Just Dance 2024 edition, Dance with the Swan Explain. Our sequel starts with the opening credits / where they are now after the story of the last game. Wonderlust is just kinda chilling in his home with the magic disco ball from the last game, while portals or magic TVs and text of his friends and who they are flying around him. Just like the last game, he hands the magic disco ball to who he thought was Sarah, the human who got taken on a whole tour and defeated the Night Swan. But oh no, it's the Night Swan pulling an illusion. Don't ask why Wonderlust doesn't know where his portals lead or why he felt the need to include Sarah specifically on another wild adventure, because you'd ruin the story for yourself. Now the Night Swan has not just access to the magic disco ball, which was the catalyst for Sarah entering the Just Dance world, but now it is fully on her side because of the Swan's evil magic. Honestly, this is a pretty good way to open a sequel to a story told in the previous game. You have to remember that Just Dance is a live service now, with everything being handled by one launcher. This means you'll have people who have purchased Just Dance 2024, but not Just Dance 2023. So the Just Dance team had to figure out a way to convey that there was a previous story necessary for the full enjoyment of this new one for those that didn't buy the previous game, but also still hype up the people like me that did experience the previous story without any dialogue. I think they pulled it off. Any other story could have just done a previously on segment, or just have a narrator explain who each character was individually, but because of the nature of Just Dance, they couldn't do that. Displaying the characters from the previous story being chill around Wonderlust, meaning they already know who he is, both shows that Wonderlust has portal making magic, that he's charismatic, and the choreography of the map shows that he has a genuine heart. Good job, Just Dance team. Cut to the real Sarah in another party having just finished playing a Just Dance map. Wait, what? I'll get to that. What looks like Wonderlust takes over the drawn avatar version of him and hands Sarah the magic disco ball again for another adventure. Everyone else in this non-Just Dance world freezes in place, so I guess that explains the lack of urgency from last time, and how no one seems surprised that Sarah left an earlier party and came back like nothing happened. We know from Canned Heat that is no longer our friendly disco ball, but the corrupted remains, and that Wonderlust is currently just standing there taking the L from losing it. The fake Wonderlust reveals themselves to be the Night Swan Queen, who through the disco ball forces Sarah back into her domain, where she is most powerful. The Night Swan tries to corrupt Sarah like she had so many Just Dance coaches before, but I'm guessing because Sarah is a real life human person, she is a lot tougher to corrupt. After all, while she keeps slipping temporarily, by the end of the map she is uncorrupted but captured and unable to escape. It turns out the whole time Wonderlust was just watching this and hopefully coming up with a plan, because dude, please tell me you weren't just watching helplessly. Wow, not even barely out of the door and there are already egregious plot holes. So Just Dance is a game within the world of Just Dance in our real world? Does Sarah or whoever this house belongs to have a special Just Dance copy that happens to be sentient, or have actual people or coaches in it? Is it this specific Wonderlust profile that can be manipulated by both Wonderlust and the Swan? Could it have been anybody that the Swan could have captured but wanted Sarah specifically for revenge? You can't just go meta like this. Don't expect any of these questions to be answered. Just be happy they didn't make us play My Name Is in this playlist. The story cuts here to Breziana doing what looks like her personal trainer job at a beach. It's at this moment the Night Swan commences her attack. The Swan decides to flood the beach with her evil coach corrupting magic. Breziana notices and decides to fight back and still train the people around her. These non-playable coaches, or people, or just Dancians, whatever you want to call them, go back and forth between being corrupted and being rescued by the swing of a pendulum that can't be healthy. Ultimately, Breziana holds back the Swan's corruption and it flees back the way it came. This is when Wonderlust finally decides to do something and recruit Breziana in his round 2 feud with the Swan. I have no quips or interjections. This is a perfect way to reintroduce Breziana to both new and older audiences. I like how they show how much power Breziana has instead of implying it with forceful dancing like last year. My only real question is, how do background coaches work? They don't have gloves like the playable coaches, but they still have the paste white skin and saturated clothing and hair. So what does that make the playable coaches? More unanswered question fodder, that's what. Next. Now we are at Miali's honestly very humble apartment. Miali just happens to have a poster of the Swan, which they rip. Meowly moves to the center of the room. Once there, Meowly's master panda symbol lights up, calling her to the temple. Or it's how they get to the temple when need be. Meowly proceeds to do more ritualistic dances like last time, moving between some crystal dimension and the temple of the master panda until they unlock what looks like their panda form. This form is implicitly much more powerful than her base form if the lights in effect behind Meowly are anything to go by. The Night Swan sees this and decides it cannot continue. The Swan launches a surprise attack on Meowly. Meowly's master panda symbol seems to protect them, but the surprising confusion of the attack knocks Meowly out of their panda form, and then it knocks them out of the temple, bringing them back to their apartment. Wonderlust in the nick of time shows up again and beckons Meowly to come and fight the Swan again. For me, this is when the story hiccups a bit, and the lack of dialogue or explanations bite it here. What exactly is the panda form? It kind of looks like what the offspring of a panda and Meowly would look like, which I don't want to think about, but at the same time, we barely see this form do anything. So we can only infer that it is a more powerful Meowly because they became one with the flow, I guess. Also, why even have a swan poster anyway? Jack Rose is back in the original Night Swan lair. This time, Wonderlust is proactive and gives us the first technical piece of dialogue in the story, and it's just him yelling to get Jack's attention. I guess because Jack is so deep in thought, he doesn't hear Wonderlust clearly screaming as loud as the makeup on the dancer/actor will allow. The Swan shoves Wonderlust away and decides to show her son what it would look like if he joined her forces in full force. The Swan shows Jack what she thinks his ideal reality would be. Him being a celebrity again, but this time the audience is only him. He has new purple and black drip, he'd have statues of him. He'd have all the company he would need because it'd be him. He'd be free to sing and dance to his heart's content, and no one would hate him because his fans are him. This doesn't fully work, as by the end, Jack probably doesn't even know if that's what he wants at this point. He's kinda just there, thinking probably about his future. I love Bruno Mars, so even if the map that contains a song of his has to not technically be real, I'm willing to accept it. I like that the Swan has enough courtesy for her son to not force him to join her, although maybe she could have directly communicated the idea of joining her. Was he supposed to jump into the water or something? What was he supposed to do if he agreed? Yeah, it's kind of filler because Jack doesn't make a decision and doesn't even realize he missed his opportunity to fight his mother again. Okay, this is it. This is the second final battle to determine who rules the dance verse. Jack isn't here, but we defeated the Swan before, so we can beat her again, right? Let's find out. Our trio of dancers enter through Wonderlust's portal to see Sarah still trapped by the Swan, who is right next to her. The Swan jumps up to the top of her tower, meaning the rest of our crew will have to take the elevator. When they enter the elevator, everyone can immediately sense the dark energy around. Wonderlust springs into action, trying to free Sarah from her prison, only to meet the fully corrupted Sarah, which catches him by surprise. The only solution he can think of is to dance even harder than he did before, but it's not enough and he gets trapped and slowly corrupted. In jumps Breziana. I'm assuming they don't all jump Sarah at once because they don't want to hurt her. I mean, that is still their friend. Breziana puts up a valiant effort, but it isn't enough either, and she gets corrupted just like Wonderlust. It's Meowly's turn, and they waste no time going into their panda form for massive amounts of flow and damage. So much so that it surprises corrupted Sarah, and she has to catch her bearings. I'm guessing because their transformation was interrupted earlier, Meowly didn't have full control, and was still not enough because after Sarah catches those bearings, Meowly starts to corrupt as well, but the process is a little slower for them. Slow enough to send a message via the symbol of the Master Panda out there. The message reaches Jack Rose, who I guess isn't that far from where they're fighting, and what he sees is what used to be his friends sporting all new corrupted drip as if they were always evil from the offset. They're mocking him at this point for not making his decision. The Night Swan's army is now bigger than it has ever been before. The Night Swan has effectively won. This is an incredibly climactic battle map, and the twists and turns it goes on are fantastic. The mid-song cutscene was neat in my opinion, although I can understand why a lot of people didn't like them at all. The first time I played this, I genuinely thought the song ended at that point and had to spring back up when I saw the HUD come back. What will Jack Rose do now that his friends weren't given the same choice he had on joining his mother? Everything has led up to this point. The Swan has won this battle. perhaps even the war as far as she knows. The Just Dancers got a chance to do a victory lap last year, and this is the Night Swan's turn, except she won't be the one dancing. She's got 4 little brainwashed pawns to do the dancing for her. The former Just Dancers put on a show for the Night Swan, who can only see them from behind while the corrupted disco ball flies around them. At certain points, some screens show up and display corrupted Sarah, who is currently dancing, so it'd have to have been pre-recorded, even though Sarah was only just corrupted a few minutes ago, unless Tainted Love takes place a significant amount of time after Swan Lake, which wouldn't make sense. Semantics. While they're doing this dancing, the many Night Swan slaves are busy piloting the Swan ship and headbang to the song being danced to. Near the end, the Swan can't resist but join in on the fun and uses her half-body giant primordial form thing. She is so happy right now. At the end of the song, the Swan boat departs for its journey to who knows where. That is finally when Jack Rose shows his red-wearing mug. It seems that there is a seam and imperfection in the Night Swan's plan because she couldn't fully convince her son and never thought to at least keep an eye on him. That's the end of the story so far. This map is great in both content and aesthetics. The Just Dance team not only made a cover of a song, but also changed the tone just for the story, which is an incredible effort for a relatively small team at Ubisoft. A team, mind you, that had Just Dance 2023 edition underperform and got hands taken away from them because of Assassin's Creed making Ubisoft so much money. I will say though that the current conclusion to our story, it's a little frustrating. What, you don't like that the story is left on a cliffhanger? Wait for next year's game for the story to continue, bozo! Compared to last year's story, it has more stakes, but because of the cliffhanger, it's overall less satisfying to go through. At least the higher stakes make it more exciting. It also raises some questions like Sarah's a real human, which must mean she has real human responsibilities. What will happen if she's saved before she can get them done? Sorry, Sarah, I don't care that you were possessed by a Night Swan. You still haven't paid your rent for 3 months, so all your stuff is on the street. That'd be crazy. Also, where are you even going, and why do you need the ship? Wanderlust is right there. What, do his portals have limits? What are those limits? Does Miali's Master Panda transformation just do nothing while they're corrupted? Does the Master Panda within Miali just sit there taking the L? Will Ubisoft, the Just Dance team, the Lore Master, or anyone of note give us a satisfying answer to this story before Just Dance 2025 edition? I don't know about the rest, but the last question is most definitely no. Adios.